It's very simple you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst things that CNN has done.
So sit back and enjoy.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most scandalous snafus and reckless journalistic errors made by one of America's most influential news outlets. What's your take on CNN's most consequential moves and mistakes? Report it in the comments. Number 10. Dobbs and Birtherism.
Up next, the left-wing liberal media blasting me again because I want the president to live up to his promise of transparency on his birth certificate.
The outrageous conspiracy theory that Barack Obama is not a natural-born American has circulated since his first campaign for the White House. CNN was one of many reputable news outlets to dismiss the story. The talk show Dobbs Tonight, however, went rogue. The host was one of the first promoters of birtherism and maintained cherry-picked or blatantly inaccurate coverage. Dobbs was long considered an extreme contrast to his network's left-leaning base.
My issue is this, okay? When this could be dispelled so quickly and simply by producing it, why not do it?
But as controversy surrounding the birther movement escalated, he resigned from the network in 2009, with 2 years left on his contract. Dobbs soon found a more politically congruent home on Fox News, but it was because of him that CNN, of all platforms, helped give birth to the birther movement.
It's been my great honor to work with each and every person at this wonderful network. I will be eternally grateful to CNN, to Ted Turner, and to all of my colleagues and friends, and of course to you at home. I thank you, and may God bless you.
Number 9. Republican Town Hall with Donald Trump.
Please welcome the frontrunner for the Republican nomination, former President Donald Trump.
CNN and Donald Trump have notoriously been embattled throughout the ex-president's political career. When CNN's Caitlin Collins sat down with Trump in New Hampshire to discuss his re-election bid for 2024, it wasn't in the spirit of a friendly debate. Throughout the open forum, interviewer and interviewee clashed over the latter's divisive policies, comments, and conspiracy theories.
I was just saying there's no evidence of that election fraud. You did once tweet.
You're supposed to say that, but I'm glad you say that. But look, that was a horrible election.
Unfortunately, Republican Town Hall backfired. There was enough uproar over the special airing the day after Trump was found liable for abusing E. Jean Carroll. Many critics also found it a desperate ploy for ratings and a reckless platform for the controversial candidate.
Authority, Mr. President, but I want to
why did they change the law then, saying that you can't do it?
They didn't change the law. They strengthened the law because they were worried about presidents exploiting.
Meaning you could do it.
CNN naturally joined the condemnation of Trump's comments, but the network's seemingly exploitative and futile standoff was widely panned as a gross miscalculation.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office.
That's when I was president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
Number 8. Inspired the fake news craze.
I told you, CNN is fake news. Don't talk to me. Go ahead, please.
News that deliberately misinforms has been around as long as news itself. There's an important distinction between media bias and fabrication that has faded in discourse on American journalism. As CNN escalated negative coverage of President Donald Trump, they leaned on possible conspiracies between his 2016 campaign and Russian agents. The network's particular interest in the Steele dossier, dismissed by many outlets as unsubstantiated, undermined their credibility. Worse, it was early fodder for Trump publicly dismissing bad press as fake news.
CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN.
The political right wing has since popularized the age-old term to conflate critical mainstream media with disinformation. There are, of course, many conclusive points of criticism for Trump, but CNN's efforts to keep conspiracy theories in the public consciousness helped popularize a dangerous pejorative.
Fake news. CNN. Fake.
Number 7. Something else. Tensions were running high during news coverage of the 2020 U.S. presidential election, but CNN received additional heat when they presented an exit poll that broke down voter demographics. The race categories included white, Latino, black, Asian, and something else. It's fair to assume that the bulk of this miscellaneous label was Native American. While the American people are far too diverse to easily categorize, the bizarrely dehumanizing label, something else, puts into perspective a problem with how data collection recognizes the country's prominent indigenous population. At least the incident inspired a slew of memorable internet memes. CNN quickly apologized for what they refer to as a poor choice of words, but they've never completely lived it down.
So when, CNN reported the something else graphic, it was ridiculous. How quickly social media reacted and Native Americans reacted. It was swift, it was fast.
Number 6. Jeff Zucker on the Boston attacks. All of America followed the aftermath of a domestic terror attack at the Boston Marathon in 2013. CNN endeavored to treat this matter with reverence, but faced scandal. It all started when John King misreported that a dark-skinned male had been arrested in connection with the attack. CNN Worldwide's new president, Jeff Zucker, then circulated a memo praising the staff's gracious retraction and prompt coverage for strengthening audience trust. This letter came across as trivialization of a national tragedy and a solemn reporting error. Many outlets accused Zucker of openly valuing the ratings boost and competition that came out of this sad period. This praise of and blow to journalistic integrity set the tone for controversies surrounding CNN's more sensationalistic content during Zucker's tenure. Number 5. Goons and Thugs. With the Summer Olympics in Beijing came public debate about relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China. When the subject came up on CNN's The Situation Room, commentator Jack Cafferty declared, "I think they're basically the same bunch of goons and thugs they've been for the last 50 years. This incendiary remark was widely condemned for stigmatizing the Chinese people and Chinese Americans. Cafferty later asserted that he was only criticizing the Chinese government, while CNN released an apology to any offended party. Nonetheless, a lawsuit and protests outside of CNN's Atlanta and San Francisco offices ensued. The network's president ultimately sent the Chinese ambassador to the U.S. a personal letter of apology to his countrymen, but not his government. Number 4. Carol Costello on Bristol Palin. There's no love lost between CNN and the family of Alaska governor-turned-media personality Sarah Palin. But newsroom host Carol Costello crossed a line in 2014. With Bristol Palin being known for drama outside of her mother's spotlight, Costello lightheartedly set up leaked audio of a police report in Anchorage. She laughed and said that she may have found the best minute and a half of audio she had ever come across.
You can thank me later.
Of course, many viewers found nothing funny about Bristol's frantically recounting being dragged across the ground by a man who was intimidating her sister. Amid public accusations of hostile bias, Costello issued a humble apology to the news outlet Politico. Sarah Palin then issued a response saying that her family received no such apology. Number 3. Coverage of the Gulf War.
The skies over Baghdad have been illuminated.
The Gulf War was a controversial episode in American foreign policy. Unprecedented media access and the dawn of the 24-hour news cycle promised truly nuanced coverage of the conflict. Instead, CNN largely stuck to the perspective of the U.S. military. Even human interest stories concentrated more on American servicemen than locals facing unimaginable upheaval.
I'd like to tell the American people how much we appreciate your support, your prayers, and your confidence during these last 7 months.
Viewers saw more action and coverage of violent anti-war protests in the States. By the end of the brief war, CNN and its groundbreaking format were a revolutionary success. Still, many accuse the network of propaganda and sensationalism. With this watershed moment in journalism sparking the CNN effect, wherein news media plays a key factor in policymaking, there's no overstating the consequences of CNN's breakout, importance or dire.
The whole world was watching CNN. We were the only ones who had reporters in Baghdad.
Number 2. Misaligned sympathy. It's hard for a news outlet to find a unique angle in a major story. With the trial of 2 Ohio high school students accused of sexual assault, It was also hard for outlets to stay neutral, but no one expected that after the conviction, CNN's Poppy Harlow would lament the collapse of the defendants' promising futures.
And as these two young men that had such promising futures, star football players, very good students, literally watched as they believed their life fell apart.
While it's important to humanize even the worst people, Harlow's words suggested pity for people whose horrific crimes and cold attitudes are well documented. CNN was already under fire for accidentally revealing the victim's identity, which is protected in the case of a minor. Many say their misaligned sympathies exemplified contemporary debate about privilege and victim blaming. If nothing else, it revealed how cheap emotional news coverage can be. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Valley of Death.
Death. This was the Valley of Death.
Since the Vietnam War, hardly any disturbing detail is shocking. But in 1998, the CNN Time magazine collaboration Newsstand premiered with a potentially explosive report. Valley of Death alleged that as part of Operation Tailwind, air support used sarin nerve gas on the Viet Cong. This would make the U.S. government liable for serious war crimes.
Just picture that. Turn on the television, and then they start talking about Operation Tailwind.
The Pentagon responded with their own investigation, while CNN was hit with multiple defamation suits. After it was concluded that Valley of Death's claims were unsubstantiated, the network retracted the story and fired its producers. One of them claimed that this retraction was the result of pressure from the CIA. Whatever the full extent of the Vietnam War's horrors, Valley of Death shows the dangers in unscrupulous journalism.
I didn't realize how vicious the people at CNN could be until I myself ended up being involved in this kind of stuff.